healing process, and what are the next steps for you in that rehab?
My shoulder's healing pretty well. I'm taking care of my body, doing rehab, and working out, getting stronger.
What was it for you mentally going through your first significant NBA injury, especially in a playoff setting, having to watch that during that time?
It was hard. I think it was harder than expected. Obviously, watching the playoffs, watching the guy have fun and just being out there and competing at the highest level was hard for sure. But I think it has a positive side of it. Just seeing the guys out there hoping, and I feel like it definitely builds fire into me going to next season.
What I imagine, the coaching staff, Rick, and everybody probably try to tell you, hey, take this in, try to learn, from this, from what everybody else is doing, what you're watching. I mean, what kind of message did they try to get across to you in terms of what you should be looking for and what playoff basketball is like and what's important in it? And what do you feel like you learned from watching that on the sideline and seeing it up close?
Pretty much just, I feel like taking everything in, It's crazy how, we went from like 25 wins or, something like that and going to this season and winning a lot of games, going to the Eastern Conference Finals. I feel like it is a big change. But it also is a blessing just to be able to witness that early in my career, seeing how hard it is to get to that level, especially going to next year, having everybody knowing who we are, having an X on our back. It's going to be hard, but I feel like that's pretty much the fun part of it.
Hate to go back to the injury, but that night in Dallas, we did a walk-off interview at halftime, and you had been injured just prior to that, correct?
Right.
What kind of pain were you dealing with, and what do you remember about that night, finishing that game, and then thinking this could be serious?
That's a great question. To be honest, I didn't find out obviously after the game. I tore my labrum, but when it happened, I knew something was wrong, and normally when I have just, I get hurt or I sprain my ankle, I just tie my shoe right away, or if I get hit, I'm just gonna keep playing through it. But when it happened, I told Josh or PT, I said, like something's wrong with my shoulder. As soon as I told him that, his eyes got big because he knew that if I report something that it should be serious. But I think I watched too many Kobe videos, just keep playing through being hurt. And obviously that's who I am, so and I was going crazy that game too, so I was like, there's no way I don't finish the game. But I was just trying to keep playing. I didn't know what it was. I wasn't trying to stop playing, and it's just a bruise, so just finish the game.
People told you after the fact, like, that you shouldn't have been able to do what you did given the injury that you had.
Say it again?
Have people commented, like, surprised that you were able to finish the game and keep playing well despite the injury that you had, that you didn't know you had?
Well, I feel like some people know me. They know who I am. Obviously, I'm going to keep playing through it, but, I rewatched the clips, and I had I shot it, like a bomb. I received a ball late in the clock, and I shot it, and I was like, whoa, it don't feel right. That's when I had to pull out the left hand, start doing floaters and layups, but, yeah.
The last couple of months when you've been back and you weren't, focused on, besides your rehab, you weren't getting ready for games. Did it allow you time to get to know some of your teammates on another level than maybe you did before?
For sure. That's been the biggest emphasis, and I would say the biggest growth, for me, just to express myself a little bit more, obviously, to my teammates. I think they know about me on the court. I'm super competitive, sometimes overly competitive, that it creates a narrative of me not being, obviously, the best teammate. But, being hurt has helped me a lot. I don't have to, obviously, prepare for games like I used to before. It gave me the opportunity to connect with them a little bit more. And also, I've been baking a little bit more, so obviously bringing bacon goods to the plane and stuff like that, I feel like my teammates were able to see a different side of me.
What's been your favorite thing to bake?
It's a hard question, man. I've been getting a high reviews. You know, the lowest I got was 9, and he's not getting anything anymore. But I mean, cookies is pretty easy for me. I'd say my most baked good was cinnamon rolls. And I did cinnamon rolls, and you know, I feel like it was pretty much loved by the whole team.
You worked before the season and talked about, trying to fit in sometimes more with passing, with quick decisions, things like that. What kind of progress do you feel like you made in those areas when you were healthy this season?
It's a great question. I think it wasn't easy for me. Anywhere I played in my entire life, I was the best player. I had the ball in my hands, and I didn't really have to adjust around, my teammates as much as I need to now, just to pass the ball, even more. But, just coming into the league, 20 years old, playing with older people, older teammates, it's like obviously not going to – I wish I'd come and be the best player, but obviously not going to be as, sweet as I think. So, being able to trust my teammates, that was the biggest thing for me, knowing that the ball was going to come back to me. And, my teammates knowing how hard I work and, the work I put in, so the ball would come back to me eventually.
Do you remember a specific moment you had that mentality shift in your head of like, okay, I'm not
Yeah.
the best guy. I need to be better at these certain things?
For sure. I was on fire in my first 10 games, my rookie season, and then teams started coming at me, throwing, blitz and traps and stuff like that. So I had to expand my game a little bit more, expecting the trap to come, making certain reads, and I pretty much had to see it from there and learn from that experience.
Kind of keeping along these lines, what do you feel like were the most important developments you made as a player this year? In terms you had to do a lot of things different in terms of offense, in terms of defense. Where do you look back at in terms of what you accomplished and say these were the most important steps that you made this year?
Pretty much just playing along the team, just buying in, and doing what's right for the team. That was the main thing for me this season, just to be able to play through the system, having fun with my teammates, and just competing at the highest level. I feel like I've done a pretty good job, obviously better than my rookie season. I feel like my points dropped, but my efficiency was a little bit better. So it's all about adjusting.
How do you think you became a better defender, and how much do you see room for growth there? How much better do you think you've gotten, and where do you think you need to get better?
I obviously need to do improvements. I have to improve on, this side of the floor. And, I think that was the hardest thing for me. Like I said, I was always the best player, so I didn't really have to play defense like that. But seeing that, and obviously I'm a little bit on Twitter. I see a lot of stuff, and I have all the screenshots. Like you said. Nah, you remember what you said. I have the screenshot. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay. But having those kind of things is great for me as my competitive spirit. It allows me to be great. I don't take criticism. I enjoy watching it. I watch it before going to bed, So it's like watching this stuff is helping me just become a better player. I know next year, Rick keeps talking about, the challenge of earning my spot to be a starter. Obviously it's not gonna come easy, but I'm a competitor, so I'm a competitor, so I'm gonna have to obviously earn my spot, and I'll work everybody. That's how I got here, so I'm just excited for what's coming.
Rick talked about, with you and your work this summer, you saw like what wins and what helps this team win this year. How did you feel like you saw what leads to wins for you as your game kind of evolved?
I mean, it's easier to see it from a different perspective, see it from the bench. You know, you get to see things that you don't see when you play. That was the hardest part for me, I couldn't really tell how things were going if I was playing. But now seeing the game, how the game works, been out for like 2.5 months. And I was blessed we made it this far, to be honest, just to see how it is and see how, Coach has been there for a minute. He's been there multiple times, and he's won a championship. So that definitely helps, to have someone who knows what he's talking about and believing in it.